Welcome to Weird Science, where I talk about science that's a little bit strange.
Weird.
Science.
It may not be a healthy habit, but like many, I find myself irresistibly drawn to learning about disasters, both the history behind real disasters and their effects, and the science behind the causes. Tsunamis are one of those phenomena that trigger this fascination. So for Weird Science today, I'd like to share some interesting things that I've learned from following this rabbit hole. So, to start with, what exactly is a tsunami? Well, whereas waves are typically created either by wind or by the tidal forces of the moon, the waves in a tsunami are a consequence of the displacement of water due to a large event, typically an undersea earthquake. Because of the huge size and wavelength of these waves, they don't present as a breaking wave as we might typically imagine them, which is evident in the eerily calm footage taken on the morning of December 26, 2004, when the Indian Ocean tsunami struck. Rather than violent, crashing waves, there's simply a rising tide, one that doesn't even worry many of the people present. It's only when the speed of the rising water level becomes apparent that walks transform into runs and curiosity becomes panic. Tsunami waves can travel up to 500 miles per hour, but due to their immense wavelengths, low amplitude, and slow oscillation, they can be imperceptible to any boats that may pass, which makes it difficult to detect tsunamis and provides sufficient warning to those on the coast. Then, as the waves reach shallower water, their wavelength decreases, which increases their amplitude, that is, the height of the wave, meaning that waves that may have been imperceptible out at sea are catastrophically damaging when they reach the shore. This is actually where the name tsunami comes from. It's Japanese for harbor wave, and comes from stories of fishermen who would go out to sea and experience nothing but calm waters, only to return to their villages and find them destroyed. So, if tsunamis can go undetected out at sea, how do we develop a perfect warning system? Well, the simple answer is we can't. Current tsunami warning systems take a lot of measurements out at sea in order to predict the likelihood of a dangerous event, but there's still a lot we don't know about this phenomenon, like why some earthquakes cause tsunamis while others don't. So any warning system is going to be far from perfect. We saw this recently as an earthquake in Russia triggered a wave of warnings across the globe. Pun intended. For a brief moment, it seemed as though an unprecedented catastrophe might be on the horizon, but as the wave spread, warnings were downgraded, and the extent and severity of the damage ended up being, well, not as bad as predicted, and thank God for that. Our inability to accurately gauge what was coming shows how difficult this phenomenon is to predict. One warning sign that occurs in the minutes before a tsunami wave hits is a receding tide. This bizarre phenomenon can also be seen in first-hand footage from the 2004 tsunami, as people film in shock and wonder as the ocean seems to just shrink away into the distance at a rapid pace, leaving more than a mile of beach freshly exposed. Unfortunately, this led a lot of people to rush to the beach to witness this odd event and see what was going on, with no idea of what was to come. The receding waterline, of course, was the result of water being sucked back by the displacement caused by the earthquake, and all that water had to come back to shore. One uplifting story from the 2004 disaster involved a 10-year-old girl named Tilly Smith, who was on holiday in Thailand with her parents when the tsunami struck. 2 weeks before the trip, Tilly had learned about tsunamis in school, and she had learned about the receding water as a warning sign. She told her parents, who alerted hotel staff, and a mass evacuation took place, with the beach being successfully cleared in a few minutes before the first wave struck. Over the next few minutes, many people would die on beaches across the east coast of Thailand, but 100 beachgoers would count themselves as survivors thanks to the quick thinking of Tilly Smith. The earthquake that would cause the Indian Ocean tsunami was the third biggest earthquake ever recorded, and the energy released was equivalent to 1,500 detonations from the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. It caused the entire planet to vibrate up to 10 millimeters. This year's earthquake in Russia ranks as the sixth biggest earthquake recorded by magnitude, However, it doesn't come close to the damage of the 2004 quake, which remains the fifth deadliest in history, with almost 250,000 deaths. The 2025 earthquake, thankfully, does not even make it onto the list. If, like me, you find yourself morbidly curious about this topic, I highly recommend the movie The Impossible, which shows the gravity of the 2004 tsunami with disturbing realism, but has at its core an uplifting story of survival and community, and it's got some truly standout performances. If you've seen it, let me know in the comments what you thought, or if you know of any other good movies or documentaries on this topic, please share those too, as I'd love to check them out. Until next time, I hope you enjoyed this edition of Weird Science. If you liked it, like it, and if you enjoy all things weird and creepy, check out the rest of the channel and consider subscribing. You can also find Zoinks on your podcast app of choice if you're one of those people. Anyway, that's it.